Okay, after you've downloaded and installed GhostSuite, before you start GhostSuite, if you've run it in the past and you're updating, before you start it, go to My Documents, find the CNC Mining folder if you have one, and delete it. Okay, I've already deleted mine. The next step is to start GhostSuite. Once it starts up, this window will open. You won't have any buttons assigned. Download all files. It'll start running. Once it's done downloading, it'll say downloads complete. You can close the window. Next, you're going to assign the button for your pilot. The name has to be exactly the way it is in game. Capital letters, spaces, the whole 9 yards. Once you have it assigned, you can open up that pilot's GhostSuite or Ghost Miner. Now, the Ghost Miner itself, underneath the word File, you want to go to Support Files, and yes, you want to download all of the support files again for that pilot. And again, once it gets completed, it'll tell you down at the bottom, downloads complete. Close the window. Next, go to the word File, Load Prefs, Create Default. As you can see, it shows you there it's created the default. Go back to File, Load Pref, Default. You have to load the default if you have or haven't. It doesn't matter. Load the default. Next step is to set the preferences of where your program is. So, I've already copied the folder where my version of the program is, and that's what I've put right there. The login is and password is totally up to you. If you want to put it in or not put it in, that's your choice. If you put it in, click Apply, then Save, and you're going to be saving it as, you can do it initially as the default. Overwrite it. Okay. Now, there are a few things that we're going to set before we get Eve up and running. The Stealth tab, sit idle or log off. You need to use one or the other. If you work it like a macro, you're going to get caught like a macro. So, either have it sit idle or log off. You can change how often it does so, as well as how long it sits idle in the station, or how long it logs off. Local scan, this is for those of y'all that are using it in low sec or null sec. For client, I happen to know that I want my Eve client to be set at 00. So, with these changes, I'm going to apply, and then I'm going to save it. Now, since it's something specific, in front of default, I am going to save it as my pilot's name. Default. Cargo and items, there's really nothing to change at the moment. Delays. The delays are one thing that, if you're running a single client, you can basically leave them the way that they are by default. If you're running multiple clients, you need to select after client to front, and I generally put a 1 in front of anything that is less than a second, and all of the delays have to be exactly the same on both clients that you're running on the system where you're running multiple clients. All the delays have to be the same on all of them. You make changes, click Apply, Save. Right now you're going to save it as Pilot Default. You have to decide whether or not if you're going to have combat drones. There's nothing to do on drone bay. Equipment. For mining, if you're mining ore and you're in a hulk, F1, 2, and 3, and the range of the strip miners is 15 kilometers. If you're in a Mackinac, you're only going to have F1 and 2, and it's going to be 10 kilometers. Salvaging is for the salvaging module. Combat, tanking. Tanking in a hulk can be anything from invulnerability filled, which would of course be probably Alt F2. The self resets means if it goes into warp and the equipment shuts off, then when it gets out of warp and starts its mining operation, it'll turn it back on. If it doesn't shut off by going into warp, you do not need to select self reset. Afterburn, shield booster, cloak. I personally don't have an afterburner on my Hulk. I do, however, use a shield booster in Alt F1. You make changes to it, apply, save. Mining control. If you're going to mine ice, select mining ice. It automatically takes selecting new belt out of the loop. Crowd limit, you need to determine how many people you want in the belt when it first warps in to tell it to warp away. I personally don't care. Cycle lasers. Mining ice, if you have this selected, it ignores this. It also ignores create bookmark. This is a number that you need to decide how many asteroids you want it to chase down to, or do you want it to strip the belt completely. I generally send it to the belt 90 to 100 runs, and that allows it to strip a belt completely of one of the ore that it's mining. Ship control. There's nothing on the control status. What you do need to set is on the miscellaneous. On the miscellaneous, your targeting range is gotten from your ship's config, or from your ship's fitting panel. On the ship's fitting panel, it shows you in this column here what your targeting range is in the ship that you're in. That is the panel that you're going to use here. That's the number that goes here. On this ship, it happens to be 30. That's how far I can target. If this number says 28.5, you're going to make this 28. You round it down to the closest kilometer. Don't round it up. It'll screw it up, trust me. Okay. Next is people and places. Where's your home station? Where's your asteroid? Open up people and places. Starting at agent mission. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My home station is going to be 6, which makes asteroid 7. Those are the two boxes that you're changing for that specifically. Click apply, save. Now, for those of you that are mining specific, on the reload tab, select whichever one of the crystals you want it to reload, and you want it to go to cargo. Okay, the reason why is put 12 crystals in there, doesn't take much cargo hold. Any other crystals, put it in a container in your items bay or put it in the corp hanger. When it unloads, it'll do a search for that name, and it'll pull the crystals up and put it into cargo hold. Okay? Now, since I'm determining that this is going to be a specific config, when I click apply and save, I am then going to change that to that specific config and save it. Now it's specific. Okay. What else do we need to set? We're not doing the ratter. Selected item. Ship control. We've already the pursuit range. How far do you want to chase something down? Targeting range. That is specific. Mining control. Mine per belt. What this is if you're using more than one overview, if you're just using regular strippers or T2 strippers, no crystals, and you're just chomping through the belt, you can set it up so that mine per belt, it'll do the first view. If it's not time to change belts, it'll go to the second view, third view, fourth, and fifth. If you're mining one specifically, like Veldspar, then that's all you want it to do. You simply put a 0 in each of those boxes. Apply, save. Okay. Overview status, nothing to change. Miscellaneous, nothing really to change. As long as you set people and places up, the reload, what you want it to reload, ship control, targeting range is very specific. Mining control, whether or not you want it to mine per belt or if it's mining ice. How far you want it to approach. 16 kilometers is by default. How often you want to change belts. How many people can be in the belt. How often to cycle lasers. And how many asteroids remaining should it make a bookmark for to go and get. Overview filters. Very plain, very simple. The only ones that you change are asteroid 1 through 5. So, just a quick overview. You set the path to Eve, login and password if you want to use it. Client, if you want it in the top left hand corner, you adjust it there. Otherwise, you move the window where you want it to go, and after you apply and save, yes. Once you move the window where you want it to go, you go to Eve, capture position, and that'll set the new numbers of where you move the client to. Those are the basic tabs that you change for GhostSuite in order to get it running. Now, before I undock, or I'm going to actually undock. Before I open up the star map, I am going to select the station gun, open up the star map, move it all the way to the right. Now that I have the program, make sure that the log is clear. Go to Tools, OCR Test, All. As you can see, it gives a valid system name, cargo fill, the maximum, percentage, selected range, the range to selected item is 59,000 meters. Okay, drones in bay, drones in space, system name is valid, range to item 1, all the way down to the rest of them, plus the pause. If you're not at a pause, don't worry about it. That is just from setting the windows in position. I have not fine-tuned the OCR or anything. If you need to fine-tune the OCR, that's another video. If you undock, you get this report with no errors. You can click it, And as long as you've set it up, you should be able to hit the green button and off it'll go to mining. Good luck.